Welcome back, everyone, to the fields at Southern Virginia University. I'm Jim Bresnahan, joined by Mike Harmon, getting ready to bring you game number 2 of this doubleheader, soccer doubleheader. First game, of course, Christopher Newport over Southern Virginia in women's soccer action by a final score of 7-0. And Mike, obviously that was a game dominated in entire stats from head to toe, I guess you could say, basically, when it comes to shots, goals, shots on goal, just you name it, a game dominated by the captains in first game.
Yeah, and that wasn't just in overall. That was during the whole game. They just dominated. In the first half, they had at least 14 shots. 4 of them were on goal. Just a total domination by the lady captains.
Although a bit deceiving because it was 1-0 with 22 seconds to go until halftime. And then they got that all-important second goal, which gave them some breathing room. And then, obviously, in the second half, total domination by the captains.
Yeah, the floodgates opened up, and we've seen that the Knights have had a habit of giving up a lot of goals very quickly. That's what happened to the Knights tonight. Within 10 minutes, it expanded up to 6-0, and the Knights never were in it from that point on.
Now, in this men's game coming up here, the men come in with a record of 1-9 for Southern Virginia. They'll be facing a Christopher Newport team, Mike, that we mentioned is 8-0-3 in the season.
Yeah, and the Knights' offense is just as anemic as the women's was tonight.
By my count, 4 goals in 10 games?
4 goals in 10 games. They're going up against a Christopher Newport team that averages 2 goals a game. So it's going to be, can the Knights manufacture some offense to keep the captains away from their goal?
Facing a captain's team, again, that has never lost on the season so far. 3 ties, 8 victories.
But in their second conference game, they had to come back against York College to tie that up. And that may work to the advantage of the Knights, seeing that Christopher Newport does have some chinks in their armor. Or it may work against the Knights as Christopher Newport may come out with a newfound love for the game and trying to really put the Knights away early.
Well, we mentioned the women for Southern Virginia, how they have struggled with their offense, and they had that 4-3 victory over Averett, and since then they have really struggled to score goals. They had that 1 goal against St. Mary's, shut out by Barton, and obviously shut out tonight by Christopher Newport. The men kind of the same way. They had that goal in the first half to lead Roanoke early at halftime, 1-0, but since then they have not scored in the last 3.5 games.
Yeah, and again, where's the offense going to come from? Is a lot of good individual players, but how can they really mesh together to try to bring the Knights a victory tonight?
And defensively, trying to help out the goalkeeper, obviously, Keenan Carroll, as much as possible.
Yeah, that's Keenan's done a great job of trying to keep the ball out of the net as much as possible. But once you can start to break down, and we've seen that the defense of the Knights really hasn't caught up to these teams that want to play that long ball through the seams. They put Keenan just at a lot of risk, and he can only stop so many balls.
Again, it's going to be a very busy sports week here at Southern Virginia University. We've got women's volleyball coming up tomorrow night, 7:30. Friday, 4 o'clock, women's soccer. And then Saturday, doubleheader. Football at 1 o'clock and men's soccer at 5 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, a lot of things coming up. Homecoming this weekend, so a lot of people are going to be coming back into town. It'd be great to see all the alumni that come back and their families, and just a lot of games on tap for them to go and partake in.
Football, they'll be hosting Montclair Saturday at 1 o'clock. Second home game of the season. Just 2 more home games following that. Keene on the 31st, and then I believe Christopher Newport November the 14th.
Yeah, it's a really tough road for the Knights football team. Not an easy game at all as they go through this NJAC conference. Waiting for this game to start, wondering if the referees are ready to go.
How's the starting lineup look tonight for the Knights for the men's team?
Starting for tonight will be number 2, Alexander Dubé, number 5, Colin Flynn, number 6, Gabriel Ramirez, number 9, Isaac Smedley, number 10, Josh Smith, number 11, Greg Allen, number 13, Nick Francis, number 16, Court Cox, number 18, Joseph Patino, number 20, Noah Hogan, and number 32 in goal, Keenan Carroll. for Christopher Newport, we have number 7, Harry Nadell, number 10, Henry Gauthier, number 14, Ryan Balfour, number 15, Bobby Seifert, number 16, Patrick Burns, number 17, Andrew Gogolin, number 18, Preston Key, number 26, Nolan Mann, number 29, Cameron Vaughn, number 30, Sean Kristen, and number 35, Zach Douglas.
And obviously injuries and health has been a concern for the men's soccer team throughout this 2015 season too.
Yeah, a couple major players are out for this game, and it's either something that is new or has been over the course of the season. We'll break away now as they have a prayer and national anthem, and then we'll be right back.
Thank you. And now for your starting lineups. Starting tonight for Christopher Newport at goalkeeper, number 26, Nolan Mann. In the midfield, number 7, Harry Nodwell. At forward, number 10, Henry Gauthier. At forward, number 14, Ryan Balfour. On defense, number 15, Bobby Seifert. Playing forward, number 16, Patrick Burns. In the midfield, number 17, Andrew Gogolin. Playing defense, number 18, Preston Key. In the midfield, number 29, Cameron Vaughn. On defense, number 30.
Welcome back to the fields at Southern Virginia University. Jim Bresnahan, along with Mike Harmon, getting ready to bring you men's soccer action. And again, it's Christopher Newport, 8-0-3 on the season, 1-9 for the Knights. And a lot of challenges facing this men's soccer team against the captains here in game number 2 of this doubleheader.
Yeah, and a big disparity in the offense. The captains have scored about an average of 2 goals a game. The Knights only score 0.4 per game. Where's the offense going to come from, and can they get on track tonight without some of their starters? For instance, Carlos Munoz is still on the mend. Brahima Mulabah, we haven't seen him all year because of injury, and I just talked to him, and he said the doctor told him yesterday about 2 more weeks. Also out is Tristan Longergran, which is one of the better defenders for the Knights. Just a lot of issues going on with the Knights, both men and women's team, with all these injuries.
You know, Munoz especially. I mean, we talked about it for the women. You know, if Monson's not out there, if Gamby's not out there, where will the offense come from? Kind of the same deal for the men. If you don't have a guy like perhaps Munoz, or maybe obviously Mulabah, puts a lot of pressure on other guys, maybe like Gabe Ramirez, certainly maybe Josh Smith.
Yeah, Josh Smith is one that has scored a lot of goals in the past for the Knights. He needs to get back on track. But it's not just about him. It's about can his teammates find him in positions that gives him a great chance to put the shot on goal. That's where the Knights have really been lacking, is in that playmaking ability instead of trying to go one-on-one.
Just about ready to get this one underway tonight. Don't forget, volleyball tomorrow night, 7:30. And turn right around, women's soccer Friday at 4 o'clock. And then the doubleheader Saturday, football 1 o'clock. Men's soccer Saturday, 5 o'clock.
Yeah, very jam-packed week full of night sports.
Then you take a day off and you start with women's soccer and I think men's soccer too next Monday.
Yeah, the postponed game from at Salisbury that was supposed to be playing on Saturday will be played on Monday.
A couple of days after that, you're back at it with more soccer action next Wednesday, the 14th.
Yeah, it just doesn't quit. They're in the conference season now. They got to get these games in. Everything's going to be put in a tight schedule. So it's really imperative, one, that nobody else gets hurt, two, that the players that are injured get back as quickly as possible, and three, they learn how to play together one more time.
And they really do have a lot of road games too coming up in mid to late October. Once you get past Murray, Washington next Wednesday the 14th, you've got one more home date, October the 21st, whereas you've got 3 road dates.
Yeah, and that's the schedule sometimes is very kind to you, where you play most of your home games at the end of the season. This year, it just unfortunately happens that most of their home games, those last 2 or 3 weeks, are already done.
Mike, we talked in the first game, the women's game, that Perry, one of the folks to look out for, she had a couple of goals. How about this CNU men's team? Any 1 or 2 players who really lead them when it comes to the offensive scoring attack, perhaps?
Well, it's number 16, Patrick Burns, who has the most points. Has 17 points. Been playing about 731 minutes, so he's in there for most of the time.
7 goals.
7 goals, 3 assists. So he's a player that doesn't only just score goals, but he manufactures for other people.
They had 54 shots. That's a lot of shots in 10 games.
Yeah, he's put a lot of shots up. Again, the goal that the Christopher Newport scored is 22 as opposed to 4 for the Knights.
So you can see the discrepancy. We'll see how that plays out, at least here in the opening minutes and into the first half. And we'll see what the tactics or the strategy is basically for Southern Virginia, if they're going to lay back early. You know, the women in the contest, the first game against CNU, they kind of held back for the first 7 or 8 minutes.
And that's great to stay back and control tempo with your defense as long as you have some type of counterattack. The ladies didn't have a real counterattack against Christopher Newport earlier on.
Seam passes and over the top.
So we need to see if the guys are going to open up their offense a little bit, try to lull Christopher Newport to sleep by playing such packed-in defense, and then counterattack or counterpunch them at will.
CNU, the men's team, a little bit looked like the women's team here in the first minute. Very content to move it around, good crisp passing, in no big hurry to really get their offense going.
And again, switching sides of the field really start to expose the defense. If you stay on one side of the field, your defense can become really set and can be great at defending. As you start to loosen up, then bad things can happen.
And CNU quickly on the attack. They've got an opportunity left side. Nice play defensively by the Knights to take it away.
Court Cox is able to get in there and kick it out of bounds. Again, very dangerous time for the Knights as number 17 for Christopher Newport. Andrew Gogolin was wide open going towards the near post.
But Cox was able to get over there and stop that threat. Rowan comes towards the goal. A couple of Knight defenders there to knock it away, but a weak knock away as Southern Virginia's goalkeeper Carroll comes out and makes the grab.
A little bit of a miss hit there on that attempt. But again, we see that the Christopher Newport gets energized as they throw a shot towards the goal.
Francis battling forward alongside Greg Allen.
You know, and if we watch some of the other successful teams that the Knights have played, we've seen this kind of strategy employed where they spread the defense out, switch sides of the fields. Maybe not as much as we've seen Christopher Newport do so far, but really switch sides of the field to find those open gaps in the defense.
Gervais kicks it up towards Smedley. Pass goes awry. Knights trying to gain possession. Ramirez bounced from behind. No whistle. CNU up the attack the right side towards the middle, and Carroll's there to make the stop.
And if that's a sign of things to come, this could get to be a real physical game.
Let them play, huh?
There's one of those long seam passes.
Shot towards the goal, just off to the right.
And that's Patrick Burns, who really likes to score the goals. But not only can he score goals, we know that he has 3 assists to go along with those goals. Corner kick now for the captains.
Shot is knocked away by the Knights. And they knock it away, and
Throw
still
in.
CNU with a throw in.
And we can see Burns there in the middle of the field. Pretty physically imposing player at 6'2", 200 pounds.
Don't often see soccer players that big.
But if you do, they got a real advantage.
Oh, ripping shot, and Carroll there to make the stop. That shot almost looked like it took Keenan a little bit off guard.
Great reflexes and reaction time by Keenan. Chris Newport winning the ball out of the air. And I think that may have been offsides if he would have caught up to it.
Yeah, you wonder for Burns' standpoint how many times he's been offside this season. Might be one of those deals where, again, you sacrifice a few times to get those goals.
Yeah, and obviously he's been very successful with whatever he's doing.
I'm trying to think of the player from Greensboro who did that a lot.
Oh,
kind of hung back and had offsides 3 or 4 times, but then got his share of goals too.
Again, we're starting to see some of the offensive philosophy of Christian Newport. Switch sides of the field. We saw that long over-the-top pass there. Looks like they're going to be trying to attack the Knights, as we've seen so many other teams do, over the top or in those long seam passes. Again, look how disciplined Christian Newport is by really expanding the field, making the Knights chase them.
CNU really spreads it out just like their women's team did.
And that's kind of rare when you see a men's team and a women's team have basically the same offensive philosophy. Most teams, even though they're at the same school, the coaches have their own philosophies and try to implement them, and we're starting to see some of the same things between the men and women's team here.
It's a long downfield kick, and the Knights were trying to get a player positioned properly to get the ball, but several CNU defenders were back.
That was Greg Allen down there trying to battle for the ball.
Kind of similar opening 7 or 8 minutes, Mike, as to the women's game. A lot of possession control by CNU in this men's game, just like the women's contest. Not too many scoring opportunities so far for the Knights.
Yeah, we're just hoping that the outcome is a little bit different.
Knights now trying to take charge a little bit here, but the pass goes into a captain's player. Now the captains have it back.
Just a little bit out of reach. Nice angle that the Knights were able to push him to, so he could only do one thing, and that was try to shoot the ball from out of bounds.
Bodies collide, and looks like we got a whistle against the Knights.
And foul on Greg Allen. Again, the Christopher Newport starts the ball quickly.
Shot to the right of the goal that time.
And we can see him taking the ball down the sidelines and then trying to get the ball back toward the middle so they can use Burns there. Maybe get the ball up close around to his head so he can redirect the ball in.
And you can see that CNU also really varies its speed. Sometimes they're very methodical, very patient, and the next time they're charging down the field. Nice pass as Cox tries to stop it, and there's the save by Carroll. Kicks it out, but CNU trying to keep it in. Due to the injuries, Mike, several players getting a lot of playing time early in this game, like Patino.
Yeah, and again, that's a blessing in disguise sometimes as you get all these players more playing time, and then as you get further into your season and even into next year, they have more game experience. They're able to help your team expand and grow exponentially. So even though there may be some people who say, oh, poor Knights, they're always injured this year, that's this year, and you don't know what's going to happen even into the next game. And all of a sudden things could start clicking and these players could really take off.
CNU spreading the field, going from side to side.
And already CNU's already put 4 shots on goal. So you can see that they're really attacking.
Knights yet to get a shot off in this game. It's Cameron Vaughn with it on the left side for CNU. Smedley was trying to force the action, get a turnover, but CNU still got it.
Again, as you said, they vary their pace up. Everything they do is very technical and precise, but they try to lull you to sleep with some of these passes and then all of a sudden increase the speed and catch you unaware.
Good block there by the Knights on that shot attempt.
And Court Cox was able to get his feet on that. Well, we'd like to say this is a feeling out process now between both teams, but I think Christopher Newport has had the upper hand so far in these first opening 12 minutes.
Yeah, Knights still looking for their first shot on goal too. You couldn't stop that one from going out.
Not able to chase that down, but you know, it makes me kind of wonder when you watch film. Usually you watch film to try to see what a team's going to do and what you can do to stop it. But I don't know how many coaches today, and I'm talking about coaches in general, look at other teams that are successful and say, well, do we have the personnel not to do everything they do, but maybe implement this because this fits our personnel a little bit. We can take some of their game plan and make it some of our own. I just think that would be a no-brainer to try to look at some of the more successful teams and take some things from them.
Although, as you mentioned, Mike, sometimes you got to have the personnel to actually make it all work. Shot crosses the goal and doesn't go in.
Oh, very fortunate there that as the ball crossed the goal face that no one from
No one on the right side over there.
Yeah,
for seeing you.
Because Carroll was caught really out of position.
CNU is trying to get its 9th victory of the season tonight. The Knights are trying to avoid their 10th loss.
And you can see the Knights have committed everybody back to play defense. Christian Newport has pushed just about all their players up, at least to within 40 yards of the goal. And I think this may play into the hands of Christian Newport just because they're not worried about any type of counterattack.
They've got to have the confidence. Sooner or later, they're going to break through. Pass toward the middle. No one there as they go to the right side. And you wonder if the Knights will maintain this approach or if they'll open up their offense a little bit.
Well, when you're struggling offensively, the first thought is, well, if we can't do it offensively, we're just going to shut them down on defense and hopefully get into a situation where a mistake happens and we can score a goal at some point.
In essence, trying to shorten the game.
Shorten the game up, but again, that puts you at so much risk.
Because you can only keep a good team off the scoreboard for so long.
Yeah, and we've seen that in earlier games and tonight.
Saw that in the women's game. Nice move. Shot is going to sail left, though. It was a nice move by Gogolin, the sophomore.
And again, this gets so much into the legs of the Knights. If you're always playing chase, once you get toward that second half and into the second half, you just don't have the same acceleration that you would in the first half, and that's when people really take advantage of you. Nice job there. I think that was Josh Smith to knock the ball away.
Gogolin has it knocked away by Drew Bay that time. Throw-in coming up here for, nope, going to be the Knights with a throw-in. Stolen away by Gogolin. Knocks it towards the middle. Shot taken, but way off to the right.
You know, and we can sit here and say, well, a lot of these shots really aren't on goal. They're not even close. But it's just the volume that Christian Newport is putting up, which really makes you wonder how long can the Knights withstand this siege.
5 shots taken now by CNU. Still no shots taken by the Knights in this game. And we have played over 15 minutes. Corey Cox able to knock away that pass. But the Knights, Mike, just can't maintain possession.
And we don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's kind of like the same thing over and over and over again that's really plagued the Knights. Maintaining possession, giving up easy goals, giving up goals in flurries. Just the same thing that's happened earlier on in the season still happening.
And kind of the same situation for the women that the men have had with the injuries. Again, a lot of different units out there, a lot of different combinations, players either out of position or playing with teammates in positions they're not used to.
Yeah, and that makes it really rough trying to get any type of continuity and building any type of team chemistry. So we got a free kick about 25 yards away.
Now we'll see if Newport takes a shot at the goal here.
Referee will back the Knights wall up. Tries to curve it in.
Ooh, just a little too tall. Went over the bar.
And
Carroll got a hand up there.
Yeah, you can see just how much curve these players can put on the ball, and it really makes it difficult for the goalkeepers.
Tough to judge where you need to be and where that ball's going. Long pass for Gogolin on the left side for CNU. He works against Roubaix. Nice centering pass. Went past a teammate, though. Knights trying to hold on to it. CNU had it back momentarily. Now the Knights have it.
And every once in a while, in some of these clears, you're seeing the Knights are trying to send three people to attack down on their offensive end, just not able to win the ball enough times to really put any type of pressure on the captains.
Nice over the top pass. Shot towards the goal and in.
Offsides.
Offsides is the call, though, against CNU.
Again, that's Burns offsides. But now you're starting to see some of the effects of that pressure, and once they see the ball go in the net, now what are the Knights going to do, and how are they going to react to, oh my gosh, we almost got scored on there.
And all that will do, I will assume, was going to whet the appetite of CNU. The pass is too long, and it'll go over to the Knights with just under 25 minutes on the clock now.
You know, and the more that the captains can keep the ball and attack, they're going to really start worrying about any type of counterattack from the Knights. That may open up one or two opportunities that the Knights could take advantage of and slip by some of the captains as they are caught unaware.
There's Burns down there with it, battling.
Nice job by Alexander Dubé to really angle him out of bounds, not let him have any type of angle for a shot.
Well, the Knights haven't had any offense here, Mike, but in 22 minutes they have kept CNU off the board. And it may well be just that's the game plan here from Coach Patino. Keep it close, try to stay, keep CNU off the board and get into the second half, and then maybe the offense will step up.
Yeah, try to steal a goal at home and go away with the victory. Again, the Knights doing a very good job of bottling up the offense by the captains. We've only seen one real hard shot on goal, but Carroll's been equal to the task.
Burns, of course, came in with 7 goals on the season as a team. I believe CNU had 22 goals in 10 games, averaging just a little over 2 a game. Pass from Smedley, trying to get it over to Nick Francis.
Again, the captain's really trying to spread out the defense of the Knights, and this might be a great scouting job by Coach Patino, knowing what Christopher Newport likes to do, committing all his guys back to play defense so the captains can't find those open seams.
Knights have really played a lot of minutes of this first half, Mike, over 23 minutes now on this side of the field. Their forays into the CNU territory really few and far between.
Well, and they've done a good job of, if this is their game plan, really executing it. You can see some of the captains starting to get a little frustrated. That might be one of the things that Coach Patino is really trying to do, is frustrate the captains. And once you become frustrated, then you're able to you make mistakes more regularly than not.
Let's kick it back to Carroll. His pass off center, though. So CNU's got it here.
And we've played about 25 minutes, no substitutions. Both teams going with their starters as much as possible.
CNU now with 7 shots for the game, 0 shots so far here in this first half for the Knights. Knights clear it upfield, nice pass, but the goalkeeper way out there, Mike, to make the play.
And again, you can tell that
30 yards out.
Yeah,
or actually 40 from the goal.
Maybe getting a little desperate, trying to score a goal.
Here's a pass to Burns, and it's Carroll making the play.
And Carroll's slow getting up. May have got his leg just pinned back underneath him.
That almost was a situation where Burns was able to get that pass and get the shot off before Carroll got there. Carroll looks like he's hobbling a little bit.
Yeah, I think when he slid in, he may have pinned his leg back underneath him just a little bit, just a little strain. I'm sure he's down on the other end walking around trying to work it out, but we'll keep our eye on that.
So 4 shots on goal now for CNU. Naturally, no shots on goal so far for the Knights because they haven't had a shot in this game just yet. Here's Gogolin working his way through defenders. Nice pass to Burns, left side. He tries to get the shot off. It's a weak shot, and Carroll's there to make the save.
Yeah, I think that may have been more of a trying to get a centering pass there, and Carroll was able to get out and corral that before anything could happen. Well, we see Greg Allen trying to push forward, trying to make some things happen. If he could ever get control of the ball, maybe some teammates would run up with him and they could actually really counterattack. Then the captains catch him a little bit napping and get a shot on goal.
Well, you can see CNU's got a lot of playmakers, not just Burns out there. Gogolin, number 17, looks very impressive too.
Yeah, they all have had a hand in some shots, either for themselves or for their teammates as the season's progressed. Again, when you score 22 goals, a lot of people have had hands in those.
Ramirez is trying to get going, but he can't handle the ball. Smedley kicks it back. They're trying to hit Greg Allen with some of these passes, Mike, but just can't make the connection.
But it's good to see them trying to press the ball forward, trying to find some of those long seam passes. Again, it may not work right now, but as they continue doing it, they could find the crack in the armor.
Nice pass left side to Gauthier. Over on the right, Ramirez comes up with it. Pass out to Allen. But the defender is able to beat him to the ball. Here's a pass to Burns. Got behind the defenders. Fires a shot, and there is Carroll to make a big save.
Yeah, nice stab with his hand there, laying out. Just an excellent job one-on-one.
Gogolin with it now in the middle. He works through a couple of defenders, works through 3 or 4 defenders still, and finally hits the turf. Knights clear, no whistle.
It's going to be interesting to watch some of the demeanor of the captains as it gets further towards halftime, and if no goals are scored, if they start to show signs of frustration, arms up in the air, questioning the referees, questioning each other, and if that starts to happen, then the Knights can really start to feel a little bit confident that they're getting into the heads of the captains, and that can cause all kinds of errors.
Pass towards the middle. And boy, that's dangerous, Mike. And the Knights are able to get it out, at least momentarily. Kick back in. Another kick and knocked away. Good defensive play there by Colin Flynn.
And so far, the captains are dominating time of possession. They're dominating all offensive stats. The only stat that really matters, though, is how many goals are up on the board, and the Knights haven't allowed any.
Cade Lowe into the game for the Knights. Cade a little famous right now because I believe his goal was the last goal the Knights scored against Roanoke College.
Yes, it is, and it was a thing of beauty.
But since then, the Knights have gone scoreless as they try to work the offense, and the pass is stolen away by Gauthier from Patino. Gauthier working in the middle of the field. Some fancy work there. It goes over to Gogolin. Trebay on him. Centering pass and a goal for CNU. That was a nice pass. And a quick shot goes right past Carroll for the first goal of the game.
Again, that's the only one of the only drawbacks of that type of defensive philosophy. We're just going to stay back and we're going to just counter all your offensive attacks with all our players. It allows so many shots on goals that eventually a crack will happen.
And I believe that was Sean Christine, the senior, getting the goal, and so the captains have a 1-0 lead. And much like when the women scored to make it 1-0, Mike, all eyes now to see how the Knights react.
Well, yeah, are they going to really press now and make some uncharacteristic mistakes? Are they going to stay with their philosophy and try to make sure that another goal doesn't get scored? If they do that, the captain's having more chances to put shots on goal. It's just really kind of a Jekyll and Hyde team that we have right now with the Knights playing so good for so long and then all of a sudden just give up a goal or two.
Carroll comes way out for that.
Nice drop kick. Big distance.
Pass over the top. Carroll there to make the stop.
Yeah, we had a substitution. Christian Rice came in for Alexander Dubé.
Ramirez hits the turf.
A lot of contact.
Yeah, they're letting him play all right. There's a lot of contact both sides here in the last couple of seconds.
Yeah,
so you look at the numbers, Mike, and it's really dominated as far as shots are concerned now for CNU.
Yeah, 10 shots for CNU, 6 of them on goal. One of them's gone in. 2 corners for the captains. 2 fouls that have only been called in this game.
Gogolin with a centering pass that goes over to the right side and goes all the way over. Still no shots at all for the Knights in this game. believe in the first game, that game in the women's contest, that CNU ended up winning 7-0. The women for the Knights at halftime, I think, had one shot.
One
and
shot.
No shots on goal.
You're correct.
So we'll see in the final 13 minutes what the philosophy is here for the Knights. If they're going to just try to maintain this defensive pressure, keep it a one-goal game at halftime, or step up the offense, or maybe wait to the second half to really come charging with the offense.
And we've talked about different levels within Division III, and really in the Capital Conference, CNU is one of the top teams, no doubt about it. But on the national scene, they're just an average team. They're not really one of the ones that you would really worry about maybe winning a national championship this year. And, you know, the Knights have to learn how to play with these teams in order to take another step up.
Almost a big mistake there by Flynn. It looked like he tried to head it, and it actually went back towards the goal.
Yeah, he's going to try to hit it back to Keenan Carroll, and because if he kicked it back to him, then Carroll could only use his feet. But that had Burns right there at the doorstep, and could have been very, very bad for the Knights.
Sam Kelly is into the game now for the Knights. He's a 5'7" freshman from California.
Garrett Van Nutt came in for Christopher Newport.
And I think Mamadou Berry also coming in, a junior from Ashburn, Virginia.
Patrick Burns also in for Christopher Newport. So 3 subs in for Christopher Newport.
It's Cade Lowe battling for the ball on the left side. Let's see, News had a lot of possession time here in the first half. There's a pass over to the right side. Carroll comes way out to knock it away.
Yeah, nice job by Keenan just to go punch it away, get it out of harm's way.
Mike, what's the outlook for the volleyball game tomorrow night at 7:30 for Southern Virginia?
Going to be another tough game for the Knights. Salisbury is a very good team coming in. Last year they took second place in the conference tournament, so and have a lot of players back, so they're going to really be coming in looking to make a statement. The Knights, on the other hand, play really well. They played Christopher Newport in the first set to 25-21, I think, and then just started to get worn down by the relentless onslaught that Christopher Newport put up. Again, the Knights volleyball team has a problem with their offense. It's not very diversified. They're able to score points, but not manufacture the points at a very high rate. Defensively, though, just like the rest of the Knights teams, they are just outstanding. They took Christopher Newport had the National Player of the Week playing for them and kept her under 10 kills.
It's amazing the way you brought this up earlier in the fall sports. Just about all the teams, if they're struggling in one area, it seems to be offense.
And that's a sign of a young team. Also, young coaches trying to teach young teams how to win. So it's an ongoing process. As long as these young coaches that we have here, and they are very good coaches, can keep a core unit together over the next 2 or 3 years, we should see the Knights really start to become a factor in the Capital.
Long pass, Carroll comes out for it and beats the CNU player to the ball. So football's got Montclair Saturday at 1 o'clock. Montclair, a team that scored 64 last Saturday against William Patterson. And then, of course, as we mentioned, Friday 4 o'clock women's soccer and Saturday 5 o'clock men's soccer.
And none none of the games that we'll be seeing will be very easy for the Knights. It's always a struggle in the Capital Conference or in the NJAC.
Yeah, how's Wesley looking on Friday and Saturday? Friday for the women's soccer and Saturday for men's soccer during homecoming weekend.
The men's soccer team is 1-1 in the conference, 4-6-1 overall. And on the women's side, I think we looked at that a little bit earlier, and they
down
were
towards the bottom or middle.
in the middle. I think they're also 1-1, or they're 1-2 in the conference, and 4-5-2. So again, the Knights have their work really cut out for them. In order to win, they're going to have to bring not only their defense, which really they bring every game, but their offense has to come alive.
Yeah, and that's the big question for both the men and the women here into October now, Mike. And when you get into the meat of the Capital Conference schedule, is can the men for Southern Virginia generate enough offense to be competitive here in October against some of these Capital teams?
Yeah, it's going to be, again, you have to be able to score 2 or 3 goals in order to win consistently in this conference. And if the Knights cannot generate that type of offense, it's going to be a very long Capital season for them.
Morgan Palmer checking in. They also have not been able to get the ball in possession of Gabe Ramirez as much as I was thinking they might try tonight. He's the one player out there who really comes to mind when you're talking about able to maybe go by 2 or 3 defenders. Good battle for the ball. Knights have it momentarily, and then Greg Allen loses it, but he almost had a golden chance to steal the ball, Mike, and get off a good shot.
And Greg's a battler. He's not going to quit on anything. Again, the Knights would really like to get him the ball in some scoring opportunities. Maybe not so much of him trying to manufacture his own scoring, but coming in, receiving a pass in an open area so he can put some shots up.
Collision there for the Knights, as it was Christian Rice, who was a very physical player. Played basketball in high school. I think he played some football too. Good kicker for the high school, Perry McClure High School here in Buena Vista. Here's a header off to the right and over the goal. Now, Will Guyman will be checking in. He is a junior. So Coach Patino getting some subs into the game here in the first half. Knights have kind of settled into this 1-0 deficit right now.
Well, and Coach Patino may have watched some of the women's game too and saw that in the last few seconds, Christopher Newport was able to put another goal up, trying to get some fresher legs in to make their defense a little bit more stout. So if they go in, the worst they go in at halftime is down by 1.
Kind of a similar situation, kind of a similar game, exact similar as far as the score and the time is concerned, Mike. And probably that's the thinking. If it's a 1-goal game at halftime, we got a shot in the second half. If it's a 2-goal game, then you start to wonder a little bit.
Yeah, and the only reason why you'd really wonder is not because of lack of effort, it's just because of the lack of execution on the offensive end. Christopher Newport, on the other hand, is doing everything they can to keep the ball down in front of that goal so they can get that second goal before halftime.
Knights will have it. Under 5 minutes to go now. That's Flynn with it. Sam Kelly coming away. Nice pass. But there's the goalkeeper right there to make the play. Knights had the right idea, Mike, with that pass.
They did, and really good pass ahead. The goalkeeper really aware, playing so far out of the goal box that, one little mistake and the Knights can go right around him or just flip it over the top for a goal.
Yeah, if he's back deep by the goal, who knows, maybe that gets through.
But it's nice to see that the Knights have really accepted the fact that their offense has been a little stagnant. They're trying to do new things, trying to take some shots down the field, and so you have to applaud them for that.
The Knights' last goal came on September the 17th against Roanoke in the first half. And I think in the opening minutes of that first half, maybe like 6 to 7 minutes into the game.
And it was a very exciting goal.
Shot from the right side. Oh, that just almost went in. Went skipping past the left side.
Corner kick, quick start by the captains.
Deflected away by the Knights. Here's Ramirez with it now. He starts upfield. Draws lots of defenders. Kicks ahead. Trying to get it to Guyman. See, there's 6 shots on goal now for CNU. Still no shots on goal, and I don't believe any shots per se for the Knights. Nope, still no shots for Southern Virginia according to the stat sheet.
But we have seen the Knights try to vary some things up, trying to take some shots down the field, hoping to find some little cracks in the defense so they can go ahead and exploit that.
Right side pass, centering attempt by CNU. Goes awry, but they still have it here with just under 2 minutes to go in the first half now. Header attempt by CNU goes off to the right. You'd like to say it looks like it's going to be 1-0 at halftime, Mike, but again, as we mentioned in the women's contest, it was 1-0, and then the women for CNU scored with 22 seconds left in the first half.
Yeah, we won't say what the score is at halftime until halftime.
Knights just cannot seem to sustain possession in the offensive end. Under a minute to go to halftime now. CNU trying to go back on the attack.
And now's when you like to see the Knights gain possession, take it down to the other end, and maintain that possession for the rest of the half.
Centering attempt. CNU cannot get a shot off. Knights trying to work it out of there. Can't. Shot fired left of the goal that time with 32 seconds to go.
Again, every time there's a shot taken, you just got that feeling that is this going to be the one that gets by Keenan Carroll?
Because they're going quite a ways away from Carroll. They're going towards the left side and either goes in or goes off to the left. Carroll at that point would be kind of powerless to really do anything with just 10 seconds to go now in the half. Lowe gets it over to Kelly, and that will be it for the first half. We are at halftime, Mike. It's 1-0 CNU.
The CNU's dominated the half offensively. Obviously, the biggest number that we can throw out there is they have a 1-0 lead.
So it's 1-0 Captains over the Knights here at halftime. We'll take a little break and come back for the second half action and see if the Knights can generate some offense and get into this game and maybe take the lead against CNU. Right now at halftime, though, it's 1-0 Captains. Welcome back to the fields at Southern Virginia University. Jim Bresnahan, Mike Harmon. Again, it's 1-0 CNU at halftime in the men's soccer game. And you check out those first half numbers, Mike, and obviously a very dominating performance by CNU. Even though it's only 1-0 on the scoreboard, you look at the shots by period in that first half, 16 shots by CNU, no shots by the men for Southern Virginia in that first half of action.
Well, it appeared that the Knights really tried to pack the defense back in, committing everybody to play defense so they could limit the goals scored by Christopher Newport. It worked to an extent. One goal snuck by, but obviously when that happens, you have to start to expand your offense, and now we're going to see in the second half if the Knights will attack a little bit more.
Corner kicks, 3 in the first half for CNU and none for Southern Virginia.
Yeah, and Keenan Carroll had 5 saves with no shots being taken by the Knights. Nolan Mann, the goalkeeper for CNU, really didn't face any pressure, so no saves for him.
And the only goal in that first half, I believe, Sean Christain, senior defensive man, was able to get it. One of their top players, obviously, is number 16, Patrick Burns. He had some looks, but didn't get any goals.
Yeah, but he had some looks at the goal. A couple of them that were very good. Keenan Carroll was equal to the task and able to really stop him. Looks like they may have frustrated the captains a little bit. We'll see if the captains have regrouped or if that frustration level will continue and maybe give an opening for the Knights to sneak a goal in.
And we'll also see what the approach is by the Knights in the second half, if they're going to try to figure out a way to step up their offense, or at least for the initial minutes of that second half, maybe kind of lay back defensively.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the Knights are going to play this. Do they want to, again, extend their offense and maybe give up another goal, or they want to lay back and try to just defend for 15, 20 minutes, and then in the last few minutes of the game try to extend out and catch the captains unaware, sneak a goal in?
They've had a hard time getting some guys involved in the offense in the first half. Josh Smith right there, not really heavily involved, nor Gabe Ramirez. The one guy who really seemed to be pretty active in that first half was Greg Allen.
Yeah, he pushed forward, didn't give up on a lot of balls, and was able to try to get things going towards the Christopher Newport goal. Just unfortunate that they weren't able to keep control of the ball long enough to really see anything happen with that.
Good temporary surge there by the Knights at Smedley, but CNU takes it away.
Again, only 2 fouls called in the first half, and we saw some very physical play.
A lot of people commenting on that at halftime, wondering about the decision to really let them play like they did in the first half.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have anything to do with that. We can't call the fouls, or if we could, there'd been a lot more called in that first half.
But as you've always told me, Mike, whether you're going to call it close or not, just make it consistent, right?
Yeah, be consistent with it. But again, once you start to be consistent in letting them play too much, then the chance of injury really starts to escalate.
And I think you mentioned on the women's side of things, that might have been a problem in the very opening game against Bridgewater.
Yeah, we have looked at that game a couple times and talked to some coaches and some players on both sides, and just a brutal game. The referee really let it get out of control, and that caused some major injuries on both sides.
I believe that is Smedley down.
So he's trying to adjust something down on his ankle. And these men and young ladies wear these shin guards, but from what I understand, they don't guard very much. It's almost like putting a piece of cardboard underneath your socks. Oh, long pass down. Nice job by Court Cox trying to head it back out.
Knights trying to clear it here, but CNU is on the attack. Right side kick, and Carroll's right there.
But you can see on that backside where a CNU player was trying to sneak in there. If Carroll would have misplayed that just a little bit, or the CNU player was a little bit earlier, that could have been easily a goal.
Josh Smith had it momentarily, lost it. Now CNU trying to go back on the attack.
Again, the switch of the field, and then CNU has done that all night long, really starting to spread out the defense of the Knights.
Carroll comes out to make the stop on
Burns.
On Burns, their top goal scorer.
But that does still earn them a corner kick when we know corner kicks can be very dangerous things, as we've seen.
Especially from the left side.
Yeah, because they can be able to curve the ball in towards the goal.
That one kind of short, though, as he was trying to curve it.
Well, you can't tell it by most of these players except for Gabe Ramirez, who's wearing the gloves on his hands, but fall has arrived in Virginia. It's nice outside in the afternoons.
My
70s.
guess it's in the 50s, so
It's going to get down.
it's not frigid, is it?
Not frigid, but it's not hot like these players. Have
Well, as you've told
used
us today, you're not really a fall guy.
Not a fall guy
Or a winter guy.
or a spring guy.
Yeah.
Bring on the heat.
I'm guessing you like it in the 80s and the 90s.
Oh, that is wonderful for me. Obviously, these athletes don't enjoy it because that leads to dehydration, and then you have the cramps that happen.
Right.
A lot of the players for Southern Virginia are from other places besides the East Coast, and so this humidity really starts to play havoc with them until they get acclimatized to it.
Although I think a couple of weeks ago you told me that you would love to see maybe the season moved up a few weeks and start in mid-August, right?
Well, that would be
The soccer season.
That'd be great for the soccer teams themselves because it would put them in a position where they could elongate the season, not have to play 3-4 games in a week, and maybe cut down some on the injuries. Plus, they'd get some games in without missing any school.
Another corner kick, and Carroll this time bats it out of there, or attempts to at least.
But again, Christopher Newport just a step quicker than the Knights, able to run those loose balls down.
And yet through it all, the Knights have dodged a lot of bullets and have only given up the one goal.
And we're to the point of the season where you can talk about moral victories, but I don't think there is such a thing right now. It's a win or a loss. Yes, you're playing Christopher Newport. They're the top team in your conference, but you still lost to them or you beat them. Either one. So I don't think the Knights are really going to be satisfied with just giving up one goal.
Nice pass, but the player on the right side for Christopher Newport just not able to get there in time to make a play on it.
Oh, and that ball was sailed down into the woods. That may be something they look for tomorrow.
Or perhaps next July.
No, actually, tomorrow would be better. The snakes are in. They're starting to hibernate in July.
Sounds like you've been down in those woods looking for stuff.
I've been down in those woods.
Softballs
plenty of
mainly,
times.
or
no? When we first opened up the fields, it was my job to chase all of the balls down from the soccer fields, and when football was playing, and I would go down once a day and pick up 4 or 5 balls and come back.
And then on your off hours, you would learn how to make hot chocolate.
Yes, we have hot chocolate here tonight.
Seeing you with a lot of attacks here in the opening minutes of this second half.
Well, it's just a continuation of what we saw in the first half with them. Again, spreading out the defense of the Knights, switching fields, making sure that they find some type of seams, and their passing has just been terrific.
And except for an occasional flurry, Mike, it seems like the Knights have gone kind of with the same script here in the second half, at least early on, kind of laying back, making sure they don't give up anything defensively.
Well, I think they're going to commit everybody to the defensive side as long as CNU has the ball. Don't want to give up that second goal. One goal, you can make that up. 2 goals with the offensive woes that the Knights have experienced so far this season, that's just really monumental to try to overcome.
But to make it up, you're going to have to take a shot, and I don't believe the Knights have taken a shot in this game just yet. Nice pass left side, knocked away by Drew Bay.
And there's just the snapshot of how the Knights season has gone. Drew Bay is now back playing defense. At the beginning of the season, he was the guy that scored the first goal for the Knights. So injuries to both teams, well, just about all the teams on campus right now, has really played havoc with any type of continuity that they could try to come up with.
And you mentioned Ann Powell getting hurt. So, again, you got injuries in games. You got injuries outside of games.
So it's just an ongoing thing. And, you know, some years you go through the whole season and never have anybody get hurt. Just the little nagging things that always happen to athletes, but no major injuries that have to sit out. And then some years you have years like this where everybody seems to be going down at one time.
Seeing you on the attack. Nice centering pass. That shot way over the goal, though. That was a good chance there for the captains, but they misfired on the shot. That was Gauthier getting the centering pass, but shooting it well over the post.
You know, and you're starting to see some of the body language of the captains now. Just, you know, when is the next one going to go in? We've had so many chances. They've taken 19 shots and only produced 1 goal. So that's great for the Knights, being able to frustrate the captains.
Yeah, if you'd have known before the game it was going to be 19-0 on the shot stat, would you have figured only 1-0?
No, not at all. But you know, the Knights defense, they've really come up with a game plan to limit any kind of really good shots toward goal, and they've executed it really well.
Josh Smith trying to go upfield in a hurry. He's bumped from behind. We'll call that one, right?
Maybe they had a conference during halftime and the referees were all talking, and they decided that they really wanted to check and see if their whistle did blow.
I don't think it's cold enough where it freezes the whistle.
I don't think so.
Hogan with a kick.
But I've been in basketball games where I wondered if the referees' whistles were all broken, and we're inside there.
And I don't know, did you point that out to the refs?
Oh, yes.
Did you stay in the game?
Yes. There's
some referees can be very sensitive, and from a basketball standpoint,
it just depends on how you say
how many
it.
tees would you average a season?
I only had 3.
Lifetime?
In lifetime.
Really?
In 18 years here and 25 years total.
That's amazing.
I only got thrown out twice. But those were planned, I have to tell you.
Okay.
I turned to the assistant coach and told him the next time they come down, get ready because I am leaving.
That sounds like the movie Hoosiers to me for some reason.
Yes, one time was with Coach Dryden, our senior women's administrator and women's tennis coach. And then one time
this was aimed towards sending a message to your team, or you just had enough?
Kind of both. I just wanted them to really understand that I was doing everything I could to be on their side. Also, I wanted to let the referees know that I knew they weren't doing a good job.
They weren't on your side.
And didn't care if they're on my side. I just wanted to do a good job.
Josh Smith trying to get rid of it, but seeing you keeps it in. Well, if the Knights came in looking to shorten the game and get it to a 1-0 game with not a whole lot of time left, that strategy's starting to work here, Mike. Question becomes then just from an offensive standpoint, can you get a shot off? Can you get a shot on goal? And can you get a goal?
And that's something that the Knights really haven't been able to execute so far in this game.
Carroll right there to make the save.
Well, if you got points for close games, this is what you'd be going for, right?
That ball hit the hand, I think, of a CNU player.
And I wonder how much this talking to the referees do to players, if that has any effect or not. I think the players just kind of look at them and shake their hand and go, yeah,
layman,
whatever.
what's the purpose of that?
I've got no idea.
Okay.
Really, I don't think they pay attention to them whatsoever. Have a Knight player down on the field.
It's Josh Smith.
The way he's limping, you have to wonder, maybe he got his ankle trapped back underneath him a little bit.
And you also have to wonder about his availability here for the final 33 minutes. Sam Kelly in. Yeah, the Knights are still trying to get, by my count, Mike, their first shot of the game.
Trying to get the first shot. It'd be great if the first shot was also the first goal.
That would be
Wouldn't that
pretty
be just
good.
fantastic for them?
Shot on goal, and goal all at once.
It looks like they've manufactured a corner kick with that free kick.
Christian Rice is in.
And Jim, you got to love some of the free expression that the soccer players have with their shoe colors. We've seen lime green on the ladies' side. We've seen some hot orange, just a lot of different colors. This is not good. Burns on a breakaway.
Works through a couple of defenders, or tries to. Fires a shot and in. Didn't think he was going to get a shot off, Mike, but somehow he was able to stop on a dime around two defenders and get that shot to go.
Yeah, he got that ball back to his right foot. And we talked about how big and strong he was earlier. 6'2", 200 pounds. It's going to take more than two defenders really to knock him off the ball. And he just showed right there how strong he actually was, because that was a long shot. Carroll had some time to react to it, just couldn't get to it.
And much like the second goal we saw in the women's contest right before halftime, that was an all-important goal to give CNU that cushion.
Well, this gives CNU their average, and they're only allowing about 0.7 goals per game. Unfortunately for the Knights, they're only averaging about 0.4 goals per game.
Just to have the 4 goals in 10 games, this is, of course, the 11th game. Carroll comes way out for that one and bumps Burns too. Looked like he was trying to send a little message
He
there.
might have been there. You never know. Goalkeepers are, you don't want to say a strange breed, but they are their own
No,
people.
you can go ahead and say it.
They're their own people. They're kind of like left-handed pitchers. They're their own people, just a little bit peculiar.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you got a baseball or a football or a basketball position, maybe outside a hockey goalie. I'm not sure what else you can compare it to.
Yeah, it's
Except, obviously, a lacrosse goalie.
lacrosse goalies, they're a peculiar breed also. Anybody that's going to stand there and let someone hurl a ball at them
lacrosse especially,
between 75 to 100 miles an hour,
those things can hurt. Then again, back in the old days of hockey, before the mask, you wonder how those goalies would hang in there.
They didn't have long careers there.
Of course, after a couple of years in the league, didn't have teeth either. So. Mike, 2-0 right now. CNU on top, and clock starting to become a factor as we near the 30-minute mark.
And Christopher Newport again down in their offensive end, putting a lot of pressure on the Knights.
Headed away by Court Cox, I believe. But CNU with that offense, unrelenting. They just keep coming at you.
Well, and since the Knights are pulling everybody back to play defense, the captains are pushing everyone forward too. So really there's a lot of issues that the Knights have to contend with. Who do they cover? Do they send two people to cover Burns because he's so big and strong in the middle? This game is really looking more a little bit like water polo than it is soccer, because of everybody being pushed forward and playing defense.
And CNU's in good position right here as Carroll comes way after that save. Shot past Carroll to the left. Cox there as well. CNU in good position as long as they don't make a mental mistake or a mental error to the point of allowing SVU to maybe have a golden opportunity. They can pretty much dictate the pace of this game, Mike.
Oh, they can dictate the pace of the game tremendously right now, even with only a 1-goal lead, because we really haven't seen the Knights do anything that's going to lead us to believe that they can put 2 or 3 goals together.
And with Josh Smith out, you wonder again where the offense will come from.
We have Josh out. You have Carlos Munoz, who has been playing today. Tristan Longergren,
Yep.
which is one of their main defenders. But we've seen him push up into the offensive end also. So, again, a lot of mix and match parts that the Knights are trying to play with and learn.
Nice pass, but a high shot by Burns, and he had a great look that time. He kind of took that shot maybe a little too quickly.
Well, I think we looked at his stats.
Plus, he used his left foot, it looked like.
We looked at his stats earlier on before the game, and I think we saw either 78 or 88 shots he's attempted so far.
I think it was 54.
54?
And about 5 a contest on average.
Let's look and see. 54 shots. By the end of the night, he may have the 78.
And by my count, he's only been offsides once or twice.
I think only twice. And that's the only 2 offsides that they have.
And now you start to wonder, Mike, still 28 minutes to go, but will the Knights get a shot in this game if they continue to kind of play at this pace?
And if they don't try to open up their offense, take a few shots down the field, maybe get an offside or 2 called on them, I don't know if they're going to be able to get a shot off.
Morgan Palmer is in for the Knights.
And we saw in the first part of the second half that they really tried to open things up, attack a little bit, and that looked really good for the Knights. And then all of a sudden we seen them just, again, back into this little turtle shell.
Mm-hmm. And CNU takes advantage of it every time. They go right back on the attack. Burns with a chance at it, but there he is again. Keenan Carroll coming out. He wants to get things started on the offensive end. Trying to get it down to Allen. But the Knights misfire, and right back on the attack comes Burns and CNU. Burns left side, a little too deep to make a shot. And it's knocked away by Cord Cox.
And most of the players that we've seen so far, that little slide tackle would have taken them down. Burns ran right through it. So that just shows you how strong that young man is. Right now, Christopher Newport is up to 22 shots.
A 22-0 advantage in just shots, and I think we saw 7-0 advantage in shots on goal. It's going to be interesting to see, for CNU's purposes, how well they do from start to finish in the Capital Conference this year.
Well, I think that game that they played against York where they had to come back and tie them up may have woken them up. They may have been just kind of sleepwalking, thinking that, we played such a hard schedule at the beginning of the year. We're going to get into the Capital Conference. We're going to go right through it, no problem. And then they had to come back to tie York. And that may have woken them up. And it was, again, a long pass downfield that can put a lot of pressure on the Knights defense.
Carroll made a good play, though, to come out for the ball. This is Mark Brewington right there you saw, 5'8", 175-pound senior, number 20. He's very active here in the second half. Ramirez battling with Burns. Physically, that's probably no contest, but Ramirez comes away with the ball, and now the Knights are on the attack. Kelly trying to hit Rice upfield. Knights just can't sustain an offensive drive, though, with the passing, Mike.
And the difference is when we see Christopher Newport attack, we see them attacking down the middle third of the field, and we see the Knights try to attack. It's always on the outside thirds of the field, which the defense for the captains have been really able to cover up.
Substitution coming up here for Southern Virginia.
Will Guyman comes back in.
Well, they really do miss, I think, Munoz a little bit.
Well, anytime you take a goal scorer away, then you can start to really clamp down on some other players that you think would be the next in line to do some damage or to be an offensive threat.
Nice steal by Smedley. He works through a couple of defenders. Back over to Kelly now. He was trying to hit Guyman, but the pass goes to the captains.
And really, if you look statistically, the only person that you have to worry about out there on the field would be Greg Allen. So if you can cover him and then force some of these young freshmen to try to step up and be the next goal scorer, that could cause some problems. And it has caused problems for the Knights as we've seen this year, again, with all the injuries that they've been forced to go through.
Burns on the attack down the left side. Already has a goal tonight. You know, they certainly miss Mulabah. You talked about what he is capable of. And another guy I think they do miss, is at least his athleticism on the defensive end, was Lonergan.
Yeah, he was a tremendous asset on the defensive side. Very quick, able to cover a lot of people. With Brahima, just the physical presence that he has. He would match up really well with Burns. Able to not kick him out, but push him out, not let him to have those free open shots. And if Burns ran into Brahima, that would be a Mack truck against a Mack truck.
Yeah, 6 feet, 195 for Brahima, and let's see, Burns 6'2", 200. Very close. And there is another goal by CNU with 23 minutes left.
And now the Knights are really behind the proverbial 8 ball. Now you can't lay back and play that turtle shell defense or that pack defense. Now you have to go out and try to manufacture something going to the goal.
Looks like that goal was scored by Balfour, Ryan Balfour, senior from Shepperton, London. So CNU 3-0 lead now. They won the women's contest in the first game 7-0. It was 1-0 closing in on halftime. CNU scored with 22 seconds left, and then got 5 goals in the second half, Mike.
And it fell apart quickly. And we've talked about earlier how both teams have really given up little flurries of goals. Now we're starting to see these flurries again come in for the men.
Ramirez had the right idea, trying to go over the top to Smedley, but too far on the pass.
But that earned them a corner kick. I mean, now they're so far down. Now they have to try to catch up by sending those long passes. Earlier in the game would have been nice to see this, to get more corner kicks and put a little pressure on the captains.
And the men have not had a lot of corner kicks here in 2015.
They have not.
Corner kick header, a nice shot by the Knights, but it's saved by the goalie.
Guyman was able to redirect that right back to the middle of the net. Good execution, just not able to get it to the right or left side.
That's Brewington with it. For CNU, he's very tough in the open field. Kind of like Ramirez to a certain degree, very shifty with the ball.
Yeah, nice foot skills. Able to really redirect and change directions very fast.
Pass over to Daniel Nelson. Haven't seen a whole lot of him this season.
No, we haven't. And there's the first offsides call by the Knights, and that's good to see in the fact that means they're pressing forward.
And Burns is still out there with a 3-0 lead.
Well, he causes so much havoc and draws so much attention to himself that it's hard to take him out. He just frees up so many other people on his team.
So Ramirez has it now for the Knights, trying to work free, surrounded by 3 captains, and they steal the ball away. Knights take it right back.
Nice job by Guyman. just no one up there with them. And that's where the Knights really need to start pressing forward, is we got to go.
Yeah, he took it away, Mike, and then he turned around and he was surrounded by 4 captains.
Massive amounts of subs coming in now.
3 for the captains, and coming in, Joseph Patino, who I believe started the game tonight. He'll be checking in for the Knights.
Got a new goalie coming in for the captains. Again, the Knights trying to throw the ball down the field, but there's got to be someone that's going to be willing to make that run.
Didn't help matters, obviously, earlier in the second half, Mike, to see Josh Smith go down. And I don't believe we've seen him since then.
No, and right now for the Knights, anybody that goes down is going to be detrimental to them.
Well, seeing you really kind of spreading things out here in the final 20 minutes, playing a little keep away. Cox able to knock that ball away momentarily.
Again, just the style that Christopher Newport plays makes it very hard to come back on, because they're always switching sides of the field, always trying to spread that defense out, not letting the defense rest at all, which causes them to expend a lot of energy.
Yeah, the Knights have got to be getting tired out there, Mike. They've been running, chasing all day long.
Yeah, and even though the pace is not what we've seen from some other teams as far as quickness by the captains, it's been a very steady pace that has been an up-tempo pace, and just enough to cause the Knights to really start to, as you see, start to run out of gas and getting into their legs. And we've seen just this extension of the 1-goal lead from the halftime.
Knights do have the 1 shot on goal now. I think that came off the corner kick. And 8 shots on goal here for CNU. 3-0 is your score, closing in on the 17-minute mark. And don't forget, lots of webcasts coming up. We've got volleyball tonight, or tomorrow night, 7:30, and then Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock, women's soccer against Wesley. And then, Mike, Saturday, that big doubleheader, football 1 o'clock, and men's soccer against Wesley, 5 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, a full week, homecoming week. We have a lot of alumni coming back. We're glad to see them come back. I have lunch set up with several of them on Friday at Todd's for the special. So if they're listening, you know, I'm ready to go. It's kind of a tradition that we go there and get the pork tenderloin special. But just a lot of sports coming up for the Knights this week.
Who have you got coming back?
Oh, we got several of male basketball players and their families, and one of the male basketball players married one of my female basketball players, so it's always fun when they come back. There'll also be several soccer players that show up, and usually we have anywhere between 12 to 15.
These are recent players' names?
No, these are players from 90, 98, 99, 2000.
It's like BC, right? It's like ancient history.
Ancient history.
Hey, how many of the folks you've coached over the years, what percentage do you think you actually keep up with and know their whereabouts?
Oh, keeping up with them is tough. I hear from them, and maybe I'll.
Just wondered how many of your former players you go, I wonder where they are today.
Oh, there's several that I wonder where they are, but there's a lot that I know where they are because they're gone on and coaching high school basketball and
I don't know if social
doing
media
surveys.
helps you in that regard.
Well, I'm not good at social media, but my daughters are.
Yeah.
And so they keep
They
me
better be.
updated with it, and they've set me up on some things, so I'm able to see some of my former players and what they're doing. And I have
A lot of collision
Oh.
there, Mike. And
wow.
Court Cox took it from behind, and he goes down. And boy, you hope he is okay. They, as we've mentioned, they've been letting him play all night long like this. And we saw this in the Bridgewater game and the women's game at the very beginning of the season. You let them play like this, Mike, and you don't call things as you talked about, and somebody can get hurt.
Yeah, I know they want to make the game more fan friendly and keep the action going, but there's a point that you have to sit there and blow the whistle and give a card every once in a while, just so the players know who's in charge.
I haven't seen too many cards here in the last few games.
No, we haven't. Not that they're not warranted or deserved.
Time starting to tick down here on Southern Virginia. They came in 1-9 of the season. Could well be headed to a 1-10 record with Wesley coming up Saturday afternoon, 5 o'clock for the men. And it looks like Christopher Newport, they came in 8-0-3, Mike. Look like they're going to go to 9-3 on the season.
Yeah, and 2-0-1 in the conference, which is much more important right now. They're not going to garner a lot of national attention with those 3 ties that they have. So in order to get into the national tournament, the NCAA tournament, they have to win the conference, and being the number 1 seed is a great advantage.
But you brought up a good point. Unless they can really kind of shore up their game in certain areas, might not much be much of a factor on a national basis.
Well, it's always great to be able to tell a recruit that we've gone to the NCAA national tournament.
Yep.
We've done it this many times. When Christopher Newport was in the USA South, they were the dominant team there and went to the national tournament so many times. It just helps with recruiting. And then if you happen to be able to be fortunate enough to win a couple games and move on, that's just icing on the cake.
Yeah, and they're getting used to that too, being in the New Jersey Athletic Conference, USA South, maybe dominated in football, get into the NJAC, and you got Wesley and Rowan, and it's a different story.
Yeah, it's just a step up in competition, and you know, Christopher Newport is one of those schools that has a great athletic tradition, and they'll do whatever it takes within reason and within the rules to help them become one of the top teams again in the conference, the Capital Conference.
Christopher Newport looking for an opening here, trying to get goal number 4, and they got a great look at it, and Carroll makes a nice save.
Carroll's done a great job of coming out and really cutting down angles, not allowing open goals for people to shoot at.
Corner kick coming up here for CNU with the clock winding down to the 12-minute mark.
Sam Kelly checks in now for the Knights.
Header knocked away by the Knights. Court Cox clearing that ball out of there.
Joseph Patino trying to chase that down, just not able to get it before it rolls right out of bounds.
Well, we got Wesley again, women's soccer Friday 4 o'clock, Mike. Men's soccer against Wesley Saturday 5 o'clock. And in both cases, I think we were checking out the standings. Wesley not as high up, obviously, as CNU in both women and men's action. So just a matter for both the women and the men trying to get the offense going on Saturday for the men and Friday for the women.
Yeah, that's going to be the big key for now on in their season is can they score 2 or 3 goals to give themselves a chance to win the game. Obviously, if you don't score any goals, you have no chance whatsoever. So it's all on the team to generate offense. You can't sit there and point your finger at any one player because it's just too hard for one player to go up against a set defense.
Tough though tonight for the men's team for the Southern Virginia. Again, just one shot on goal. Tough to really expect much offense from that.
Yeah, they came in, it looks like, with a game plan to really try to limit CNU. 24 shots may not sound like limiting, but they've limited the good angles. They have taken away all the great angles for the shots. In the first half, Christian Newport was only able to manufacture one goal.
And CNU right now is just slightly over their average for the season for scoring goals. Came in averaging just about 2.5 goals a game.
Yeah.
Long shot outside, and there's Carroll with another save. Have to hope Josh Smith's okay. He went down hard earlier in this second half, and boy, they can ill afford to lose him with the folks already out of the lineup.
Yeah, anybody that goes down from now on is just going to be detrimental to really trying to create that cohesion and that chemistry in order to create goals.
Christian Rice will check back in for the Knights. Another guy who's really had a tough time getting started tonight in this men's game has been Gabe Ramirez.
Well, again, because of the philosophy of this one game to, hey, let's all get back and play defense, really hasn't seen a lot of chances to show or express.
Doesn't really fit his game.
Yeah, that offensive creativity.
This time a CNU player hits the turf.
Oh, and
we
a
got
yellow card.
We were wondering where those are. So they actually brought him, huh?
He found it.
Not exactly sure why that warranted it as opposed to some of the other things we've seen today.
Well, Colin really wasn't playing the ball. He went to take out the legs of the CNU player, not maliciously, but just enough to let him know, hey, you're just not going to run all over us here. And it might be a great yellow card to get.
Just to kind of fire up the team?
Well, yeah, to show them that, I'm not laying down. No one else lays down, and let's keep playing, guys. Let's keep playing. So I've been resisting this all half, but we have a visitor with us. And so we have one of the ladies that on the soccer team, Tatiana Monson, and she's told me that she's not going to talk, which is fine, but I can still ask her questions, and she can give me hand signals.
I thought you were going to impersonate her and do her talking for her.
Oh, no, not at all. So, Tatiana, how many yellow cards do you have this season? 0. How many did you have last season? 0. How many did you deserve last season? No answer. Okay.
Well, that question was kind of subjective, wasn't it?
Well,
or was it rhetorical?
I think every soccer player knows when they deserve a yellow card, but again, we're just seeing a lack of consistency in refereeing, and it's really, really hard for these players to get in sync when you don't know if the referee's going to call this a foul or they don't let it go.
We've seen that really in both men's and women's soccer in the games we've seen here in September and into October now.
And I used to think that basketball referees were the worst, and I'm starting to see that they're pretty good, comparatively speaking to some of these other referees in other sports. I mean, you and I, we've done lacrosse, we've done soccer, we've done softball, baseball, and I think it's just a universal problem that the quality of referees is going down.
or at least the consistency, I guess, has gone down too.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of referees have changed with the times. These athletes are getting bigger, they're faster, they're stronger, they understand the game a lot more.
It goes on all levels. We were at halftime, I think, or between games. We're checking out the Monday Night Football refereeing scandal from the Seattle-Detroit game. So this occurs in the pro ranks too. Long shot.
Oh, right over the crossbar.
Just over.
Whew.
So the clock is now under 6 minutes to go, Mike, as Smedley checks back in for the Knights.
Well, barring a miracle, we can say that we don't think the Knights are going to win. But what we would like to see is some attempts on goal. Let's test out this new goalkeeper that's in there. Let's put a little pressure on the Christopher Newport defense. Now's the time to test some things and try some things that you can't do and really get a good feel of in practice.
Knights only have the one shot on goal, but they do have a few other shots. But still, obviously, when you look at the stats, Mike, the numbers just heavily dominated by CNU.
26 shots to 3, and you know, that's just the massive amounts of numbers of shots leads to those goals.
So one final time, we'll give you that schedule coming up for the next few days. We've got volleyball tomorrow night, 7:30, Mike.
7:30 in the arena against Salisbury. Should be a very hotly contested match.
And then a few days away on Friday, we've got women's soccer, 4 o'clock against Wesley. That doubleheader then on Saturday, men's football against Montclair State. Saturday, 1 o'clock, followed by men's soccer against Wesley, Saturday, 5 p.m.
And again, we'd like to thank the women's team for making the change from Saturday to Friday. Makes your life a lot easier so you're not here for 12 hours.
Triple header?
For a triple header, exactly. But also is great strategy, I think, on Coach Grawrock's part, because they're the only game that'll be available on Friday. A lot of people will be here on campus walking around seeing what's new, and they could get a lot of support.
But then again, right after homecoming on Saturday, you're right back at it with more soccer Monday and Wednesday of next week.
Yeah, just no real time. Oh, close.
Carroll making a nice play there.
No real time to prepare for Salisbury coming up. It's you play. I don't know if they're going to get anything in on Saturday or not as far as practice. Tatiana's shaking her head yes, that they are going to do something early in the morning to try to get prepared for Salisbury. They have to take Sunday off because you have to have one day off every 7 days, and then they're in there on Monday going hard at it. And we know that the women's schedule has been updated for that game against Salisbury on Monday.
Had not seen the men.
Do you know if the men are playing on Monday also, Tatiana? She doesn't know either. So that's something that we'll have to find out from our SID, and I'll find that out tomorrow and maybe let it be known during the volleyball.
Be curious if they didn't do a doubleheader.
Be very curious because most teams like to travel together in order to save some money and but each coach is able to change a game within 1 day of when it's supposed to happen. So
starting to look like, Mike, the Knights won't give any additional shots or shots on goal, or have that opportunity to maybe get that first goal of the game and avoid the shutout.
And they're still sticking with that philosophy of sending everybody back.
Long shot, and it sails off to the right. Well, the Knights certainly kept it close here in the men's contest. Only a 3-0 score. Only problem is, as you mentioned, Mike, is the Knights just really could never generate any offense. As Patino goes down.
Well, if they came into this game wanting to limit CNU to a few goals, they succeeded. If they came in wanting to try out this type of defense of sending everybody back on defense and cutting down angles,
and hoping maybe it would
Yeah.
lead to some sort of mental mistake by CNU, that didn't work. As far as creating mental mistakes, maybe CNU getting a little frustrated, perhaps. Never really saw that happen. And that's a credit to CNU, obviously.
well, all these teams that we're going to see from now on, very well coached, not going to see a lot of really mental breakdowns for a prolonged period of time. You'll see one or two happen. Oh, nice.
Just off to the
nice
left.
try.
Greg Allen had a nice pass from Cade Lowe, and Allen fired that shot from way out, and it didn't miss by much. Knights hurrying to get this corner kick off with 30 seconds to go in the game. And the goalkeeper for CNU is able to dive on top of that ball as we're down to 15 seconds to go. Final seconds ticking off as CNU is going to improve, Mike, to 9-0-3 in the season, and the Knights drop to now 1-10 on the season.
Yeah, and what's the numbers that really we need to look at is what's happening in the conference too. So now Christopher Newport improves to 2-0-1. The Knights drop to 0-2.
So that'll wrap things up here from the fields at Southern Virginia University. Again, a reminder, volleyball tomorrow night, 7:30. Mike and Art will have that for you. We'll be back here Friday for women's soccer against Wesley, Friday at 4 o'clock, followed by men's football Saturday at 1 o'clock against Montclair, and, of course, men's soccer Saturday 5 o'clock against Wesley. That'll wrap things up here from the fields at Southern Virginia University. For Mike Harmon and all the crew, I'm Jim Bresnahan. Thanks for joining us tonight.